Camera's on. Well, then it's time for a video. Let's do a video on this. This is a 1947 LG2, okay? You all know what LG stands for, don't you? Little guitar. Right. This was something they were making, a smaller-bodied guitar. Remember, too, that Martin had been making flat-top guitars since 1833. 70 years later, Gibson starts making flat-top guitars. They were making arch tops. So the LG2 came along and they saw Martin making their smaller bodied, and they decided to make a smaller bodied too. They tend to be a little more focused, a little narrower sounding. There's a little more room for the human voice. They record differently. They fit better for some people because a dreadnought can do this to your shoulders. So these LG2s can be a little more comfortable. And they're not going to have quite the bass response of a dreadnought. And yes, that's the point. So you can tell a cool old LG2 by the script logo. So this is scripted, cursive, right? And then they always, with that, will have this tapered headstock. It's skinny here, and it's fat here. So that means these strings go down at a greater angle. And the string, which goes back and forth, reflects off the nut quicker. And you get more volume with that. And then here's an inside secret. You guys promise not to tell anybody else. It's between you and me. When you see a small pick guard, it's always scalloped braced. Got that? Promise not to tell anybody else? I'll tell you that again. When you see a small pick guard on a Gibson, that means the bracing is scalloped. And when we say scalloped, these braces are shaved. Yes, just like scalloped potatoes. They shave them off. So you'll find on Gibsons they tended to pyramid. Martins would tend to scoop out their bridge, the braces, but Gibson would scallop them and pyramid them more and bring them to a finer point. So your braces, which are shaped like this, would be shaved down, and they actually would slice off wood. And why? So the top would vibrate more. But here's the thing, that takes a lot of time. It does make the guitar fuller sounding and brings out more volume. It also, the reason they quit doing it was because of the warranty issue. They were afraid people were using too heavy a string. Remember, in '47, there was no electric solid body guitars. So people wanted louder to be heard with their audience. A nice, delicious, I'm not sure this microphone can pick it up, but there's a lot of bass here. This has new strings on it. This guitar just recently had a neck set on it, and what happens is, of course, we've discussed this before, but if you leave strings on, the neck kind of does this. And then when you pull off the neck, separate it, you're going to shave this heel down and bring the neck back. It's about 3 degrees. So again, if you leave it alone, the neck does this with the string tension. You're going to bring it up closer to the strings. So this has had a neck set recently, and you'll notice these will wake up a little more too after surgery like that. You play them a little bit, so I'm going to play this all night long in the basement. If you drive by and hear me singing really loud. But you have old wood on this, just like the electric guitars, as I was saying in the past. Old growth mahogany. This is mahogany that was fallen long ago, and logs that were sometimes up to 100 years old. So logs from the late 1800s through the 1920s. They stopped cutting a lot of these logs just before World War II. And they would fell these 100-year-old trees that were 10 stories tall. They'd put them in dry riverbeds. The rain would come, and then they would wash down into the sea, and they would pick up the logs, each tagged, and take it to distributors in the US. Martin, Gibson, other instrument makers would buy those logs and set them out, or professional wood people would set them out for 10, 20 years, and then they would get purchased, cut, dried again in a kiln, and so the wood like this is just not available. Brazilian rosewood board, Brazilian rosewood bridge, and again, remember what I said, anytime you see a small bridge, a little skinnier, doesn't have a belly on it, and a small pick guard, not the pick guard that goes up to the fingerboard, but a small pick guard, then you know immediately that it's a scalloped braced guitar, thin braces. And you get a lot of volume. Here's something else for you that I bet you guys know, but I'm going to remind you. The LG2 was a very popular guitar. They made an LG3 that was blonde, because it's fancier and more money, because they used all that fancy wood that was perfect. Then in 1962, they modernized the name and made it a B25. The LG2 and the B25 are the same guitar. Same size, same dimensions, same scale length. This one has the larger pickguard that comes up here. This one has the belly bridge that comes up, and just because some of you sometimes don't see that, you see small guard, small bridge, large pickguard, large bridge. This guitar came from the original owner. It has the original hang tag and a different sound, a little more hollow. This one in particular has an amazing bass. Beautiful guitar, a different guitar, and a lot less money. The LG2 we just got in, that script logo just got in. You'll see prices on these have risen dramatically if you've been looking, and there's a huge demand for them. A large part of that is recording. These B25s are more common, where they might have made 200-300 of those a year. They made 2,000-3,000 a year by this 1965-66 time. So there you go. I won't share too many more facts with you, but I do want to present these two guitars. This guitar is just in immaculate condition. Somebody's going to get this, and it's been here for 2 days. That's way too long for one of these guitars. And that one is not on our website, but by the time you see this video, it will be. See you guys later.